I'm Steve. I'm an electrician here at Transworld. Today we're going to go over primary and secondary injection test sets. We're going to go over 5 different points. We're going to go over the purpose of primary injection and secondary injection test sets, the difference between a primary and secondary injection test set, the different types of injection test sets, and why we use injection test sets. Why do we use primary or secondary injection tests? One of the reasons is to protect personnel. If a breaker does not trip within its calculated trip time, it could cause a larger arc flash and could damage or hurt personnel. The other reason is to protect equipment. If a breaker does not trip within its calculated time, equipment downstream could be damaged more than expected. Purpose of injection test sets is to test the different and separate trip functions of breakers, depending on if they are a magnetic, thermomagnetic, or digital trip unit. The different functions that we would be testing is long time and short time, which are your overcurrent protection functions, instantaneous, which is your short circuit protection, and your ground fault function, which is your ground fault current protection. The difference between a primary and secondary injection test set is this. A primary injection test set injects a multiple of the full rated current of the breaker through the breaker while timing the trip time. The secondary injection test set injects a ratio of that full rated current of the breaker and injects it directly into the trip unit and then times how long it takes for the breaker to trip. Another way to look at this is a primary injection test set tests the breaker as close to real world scenario as you can. It tests every portion of the breaker, where the secondary injection test set tests the timing and tripping of the trip unit only. The different types of injection test sets are this. Primary injection test sets are specific for the size and the current output, where your secondary injection test sets are brand specific of the breaker or the trip unit. Primary and secondary injection test sets work primarily the same way. They inject a calculated amount of current through the breaker and time how long it takes for the breaker to trip. Each calculated amount of current is different for each function that you want to test on the breakers. They all have to be done on each phase of each breaker for each function of the breaker. This is all I have for primary and secondary injection test sets. Please, if you have any electrical or testing needs, call Transworld and we'll help take care of you. Thank you.